In 2023, I put out a comic book series. I didn't tell anybody about it for the first week. I threw it up on Kickstarter. That comic series has now made me over $50,000 in revenue, on Kickstarter and on like my online store, and then throughout various other Kickstarters that I've done. And that Kickstarter, that series is My Sexy Witch Academia. Now, I'm going to tell you guys the story about this. Like, yes, I have the campaign going on. I want to promote it. That's why we're doing this video. Go check out the link in the description. But I want to tell you guys like the origins of the series, because I utilize Kickstarter in the way that it was built out to be used. So let me tell you the story. So in 2023, I'd been given a cut on my salary. My salary was cut by 25 to 30%. I was told that it was only going to be for a month or two, but while the company I was working for was getting on their feet, it got to a point after 4 or 5 months, my savings had all been eliminated, and I was strapped for cash. I was like, I need money. And the only series I had really been focusing on at the time was the Growth of Megafist. So what I did was I strapped the last like $700 that I could get, and I basically found a few artists. I found 3 artists to make some cover art for me. I drew these 3. I was able to scrounge enough money to get Bia Navarro to do the colors for this cover. And I was like, okay, like, what am I going to do? Oh, and I paid for this logo because I was like, normally I do my own logos, but I was like, I need a freaking nice, like, iconic, sexy logo. And so it took me like a week to come up with all of this. I came up with the name. I was able to get the logo done. I got all the covers finished. Literally, I got all of these covers done within a week. And by the end of that week, I had thrown up this Kickstarter. I built it out. It was ready to go. And then I drew like this double page spread. And then I drew a couple, like I drew this page, this is page 1, and then I drew a couple random ass panels from various parts of the story. But I was like, I don't even know. And then my goal was I wasn't going to tell anybody that I was doing this Kickstarter. I wanted to see, one, if I didn't tell anyone on Kickstarter, would the Kickstarter algorithm push this up? Could I get funded? And what happened was by the end of the very first week, I think I made around $3 to $4 grand. I'd fully funded within my first 24 hours. Now, keep in mind the goal was only $1,000, but I'd only put in $800, $700, $800 at the time. So like to me, I was like, oh, this is fantastic, and so I use this as a marketing tool. I told people the day before I went public saying, hey guys, is it possible to launch a Kickstarter without any marketing? Everyone was like, no, you can't do that. And then the next day I was like, hey guys, I had this Kickstarter. I didn't tell you guys for a week. It's been live. I funded in the first 24 hours. And what's crazy is I had Pat Shand. I told 3 people about this. I told Larry Higgins, I told my friend Nicholas Mueller, and then I told Pat Shand. And Pat Shand was like, hey, I'll buy this idea off of you for $10,000. And at the time I was like, fuck, I need money. So I almost took it, but then I was like, if Pat Shand, the GOAT, believes in this series, I definitely need to just go for it. And so I went for it. It funded. By the end of this first run, we did $15,000 and $15,581. And one of the big hiccups was that the story completely changed once it was done funding, because as I started drawing the story, I was like, it was marketed as a parody comic, like a silly Harry Potter parody comic. And when I started finally writing and drawing this, I was like, wait a second. I want to do something more with this. Like, I actually have a better story that I want to do. And I know that the Kickstarter backers backed it for this, but I'm going to take this risk and make something better. I'm going to do something better with this series. And so I scrapped all my art. I rewrote the story, and I was like, I have to keep the elements that I showcase in here, the various pages. And so I was like, what should I do? So I was able to craft a story that was able to keep all of these elements in there. And I then went and I sought out a new artist, and who I found was Tommy Artesia. And here's the thing, like, someone was like, oh, Tyler, like, don't you feel a little bad because you advertised it with one thing of art, with your art, and then when you gave it to people, it was different art? And I'm like, listen, look, this was the art that I was going to give people on this double page spread. Like, this is what I was going to give. I don't even know what's going on with her boob right here. That's whack. This is what I was like. I sent this over to Tommy. I was like, hey, Tommy, do this test page. If you could do this test page, you've got the gig for this series. He sends me this, and I'm like, you're in. You're freaking in. Let's do this. And yeah, we sent out chapter 1. Got great reception. A lot of people are like, I love the characters, I love the dynamic. Chapter 1 still has some of that Harry Potter-esque stuff though. So in chapter 2, I was like, I've got to get out of this. And so by the way, this is the chapter 2 cover. I think this is one of the best cover arts we've ever done. I laid it out. I laid it out. I was like, hey, Tommy, this is how I want it to look. He drew it perfectly. We got colors by Bia Navarro. It's absolutely stunning. And in this campaign did over 20K. So yeah, like this was just stunning art. And we had great reception on this one. And you know, it was risky, but I'm so grateful that I took the time. I'm so glad that I was able to go, you know what, there's something more to this story than just this parody, fun, sexy book. Because here's the thing, at the time I was like, I need to do this series to maybe potentially like make some money. And so I was like, let me see if I can hit with the Kickstarter algorithm, you know, do like a sexy looking book. And what happened was I actually fell in love with a story about a witch named Harriet, who, she has a secret. She is the strongest, most powerful witch in the world. And she is on a mission to find the Chaos Shards. No one else knows what the Chaos Shards are. No one knows that she's the most powerful witch. They know that there's this event that happened in their world called The Day That Went Dark. And it affected the entire magical world. Like thousands of people died. And they don't know that like Harriet was like the cause of this destruction. And so there's like dark forces who are hunting her because they know that she's the most powerful witch. The students at the school don't know that she's the most powerful witch, so she's got to keep her powers like in lock. Although at times when they're getting attacked, she has to like showcase it. Just the artwork that Tommy has done for this series is truly remarkable. And he has to remind me at times. He has to be like, yo, Tyler, you got like, I'll write the whole story. And he'll be like, dude, this isn't sexy enough. This is called My Sexy Witch Academia. You got to add some sexy stuff. So like, you know, originally, you know, she was, you know, fully dressed in her school uniform. He goes, what if instead, because she's possessed, we make her look a little like wrecked in her clothes? And I was like, you know, you do what you got to do, Tommy, to make this book sell. And he did it. You know, and the cool thing about this is in chapter 3, we're getting, in chapter 1, it was all about introducing the characters. Chapter 2 was about introducing the magic system. And now in chapter 3, it's kind of like introducing where the plot is going. So it's kind of crazy. Like we introduced like what the goal of the series was in chapter 1, but it hasn't been like super like in your face on it until we get to chapter 3, where at the end of this chapter, Harriet is going to be told, hey, like this is what is necessary for you to complete your mission to find the Chaos Shards and destroy them. And what the Chaos Shards are, we explain in the series. But yeah, like for example, at the end of chapter 2, a big snake appears. I won't say how it appears because it's kind of brutal. And we learned about this stuff called build magic. And so Professor Neostar here was teaching all the students at the end of chapter 2 how to do this kind of magic. We opened chapter 3 with him showcasing how to use it in battle. It's just really fun, and it's one of those things where you never know where a story could go unless you just take the time to take some seconds, go, oh, let me get into the weeds of this. Like originally, I wanted this to just be like a cash grab. Let me throw up some parody book. It's gonna be like 2 or 3 issues. It's going to be a bunch of nothing. I'm going to try to like, you know, sell some sexy covers and get out of here. And what's happened is that I've now created a series where I am funding it. I'm funding this book so that I can make the next book, because Like now, like it was supposed to end at chapter 3. I was like, I only want to do this series for 3 chapters. Get in, get out. It's just gonna be so stupid book I'm not invested in. And what happened was I became super invested in it to the point where I want us to get to the full 12 chapters. Like this is an emotional book. All of these characters have depth and they have art. You know, we have Harriet, the main character who's struggling with the fact that she has a secret. She can't tell her friends. How does she, continue to live this like double life? You have Ray, she's the redhead. She's super bubbly, she's super happy, but at the same time, she's always wanted love. What happens when she finally finds love with someone? What are her friends going to think? And then we have Hazel on the left. She's kind of like the friend, the slut friend. So she has very little self-worth. But why does she have this little self-worth? Well, we're going to find out in chapter 3 that her parents died in the aftermath of the day that went dark. Spoiler alert. Is Harriet, though, going to reveal to them that she was the cause of this event? Is she going to risk their friendship by giving them this information? But then they're going to know that she is like this amazing, powerful witch. What are they going to do? And so, like, it's just one of those series where it's like I wasn't planning on there to be so much drama, so many layers, and yet I'm completely in love with this series. And I know that for some, like the NSFW stuff is going to be like, oh, I don't know if I want to touch this, which is why like I firmly believe that if and when we get to do a trade paperback, and I want to do trade paperbacks, guys, but first I have to fund the production of these books. Tommy's got to get paid. I do think that in the future, in those trade paperbacks, we're going to have like the NSFW version and a censored version for everyone. Because, regardless of like, the sex stuff, like there's maybe like 1 or 2 panels where it's like completely out of control. And it's not there to like totally move the story forward. It's just there. And so I want people to experience this story because I believe in it. This isn't like just some gimmick comic of like, oh, let me throw out like 20 million covers. Like, no, all the covers that we've created, I work with artists who I really believe in. I want to enjoy making art with. And so like this is the story. Like it's crazy that like 2 years ago, I was like, let me make this stupid fun parody book about Harry Potter. And now it's gone to the point where it's like, hey, I'm making it a full blown like 12 chapter series. Like by the end of this, when all is said and done, and like I said, I really hope I can get to chapter 12. Like I'm just pulling out my calendar, like my freaking calculator real quick. I should have done this prior. Okay, if we get to the full 12 chapters, that's 480 pages. Like that's freaking incredible. That would be so amazing to get to. So if you guys have any, go check out the link in the description. Like I said, I love this series. It's fantastic. In this video I'm recording, it says that we have 8 days to go, but I'm batch recording these because I have a super busy week. I am going to change my shirt, though, in every single video, so people think, oh, like, he changed his shirt. I didn't. This isn't a different day. They're all going to say 8 days. I'm wearing a different shirt. I'm trying to bamboozle people, but I'm not bamboozling people because I'm being honest. I'm saying, hey, I'm changing my shirt. I'm making it look like it's a different day, but it's clearly not. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and peace.